Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimonisha Uta Vardanyashriba Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimonisha Uta Vardanyashriba Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajrada Sumatimunisha Sane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradara Sumatimunisha Sane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradara Sumatimunisha Sane Uta Vardanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimunisha Sane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimunisha Sane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimunisha Sane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimunisha Sane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Badra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Dagi Jitsun Lama Ya Toje Jen Nyamda Dala Toje Siksu So Yebe Shesan Dala Tendo So Uyon Sungye Nawa Tsedo So Seji Ningne Sowa Debe Tse Dejen Korlo Visu Lekshune Yila Sambe Dede Malu Pa Gemel Hungi Drupra Jingilo Tsoni Sodan Digdun Shabe Tse Dungi Namge Yesu Lekshune Lapchen Tsoni Yonsu Tsobadan Cheran Yedun Chawra Jingilo Chancho Pargi Ninsen Tukun Tu Niu Peme Siudru Lekshune Chanchu Drube Gegen Kunshi Shi Tungen De La Drubra Jingilo Dagi Lona Chola Chopadan Chomi Samjura Ngemba Shiwadan Chodan Tumbe Dede Malupa Bemel Hungi Drubra Jingilo Dorna Tingne Tsera Tamchedan Techi Pardu Negav Tamchetu Rese Kyamne Lama Kele Me Tukche Chengi Dala Siksuso Gongyab Drewe Nyamta Dachala Jetsun Lame Tukche Rabgongne Kudan Sunge Nawa Dralme Tu Nyamsu Nyongwe Kesan Tobrasho kewa kundu yanda lama dan rame cheki pela longche chi sadan lamge yonde rabzo ne dorje changi koban yurtobo sho pakyuke kudan dagi lo pakyuke sungdan dagi nga pakyuke tukdan dagi yin ten yerme chintu jingi lo makyuke kudan dagi lo makyuke sungdan dagi nga makyuke tukdan dagi yin ten yerme chintu jingi lo Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Soha Om Mahamuni Shakyamuni Soha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Soha. Sangye chedan soge chanamla chancho pardo dani kyapso chi dagi jinso give sonamgi drola pinchre sangye druparasho sangye chedan soge chanamla chancho pardo dani kyapso chi Dagi jinso give sonamgi drola pinchra sangye druparesho sangye chedan sogi chonamla chancho pardo dani kyapsuchi dagi jinso give sonamgi drola pinchra sangye druparesho. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge into enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So today we will give some more explanation about the three transformations, which 2 days ago we were talking about. We continue about that. Also because if we take any subject which is a bit longer, it's going to be difficult because we have half an hour today. So I'm going to be very focused on the specific points, not going too much around, okay? So first thing we just need to remember to take into consideration is that we have both body and mind. And in this having body and mind are always connected in a gross level, in a subtle level, in a very subtle level. Which means we have a gross body that is directly connected with our gross mind. We have a subtle body that is connected with our subtle mind, and we have a very subtle body that is connected to our very subtle mind. So basically, what happens is that this very subtle body continues with our very subtle mind. They don't have the possibility of one, existing and the other not. They are always inseparable. In the same way our gross body and mind are inseparable, our subtle body and mind are inseparable, our very subtle body and mind are inseparable. This is important for us to understand also, because very often we have the idea that when we die, the only thing that continues is our mind. But it's not exactly like that, in accordance to the Vajrayana path. More precisely, what happens is that when we die, yes, our very subtle mind continues, but together with that, our very subtle body also continues. Okay? So, what happens is that, as we have seen these last days, in the process of death, what we do is that we use the process of death as a pathway for our own enlightenment. Normally death is seen as something very fearful and negative and so on. When we actually look to it really carefully, it's actually something very positive. So, what we will do is that we will follow the whole process of death with awareness, being aware of the process of death, which means the dissolution of the elements and so on. Because what actually happens in that process of death is that the gross parts of our body and mind gradually starts to dissolve, which means they start to lose strength. And by losing strength, by losing power, the more subtle aspects manifest. It's not that they become stronger, simply they become more evident. It's possible to see them. So our gross body and mind starts to lose strength, and then our subtle body and mind manifests. Then our subtle body and mind loses its strength, and then our very subtle body and mind manifests. What is interesting to understand is that the subtle mind follows the direction that is given to the gross mind at the moment of death. So if I die with a thought of love and compassion, that's the path that my subtle mind will follow, and that's the pathway that my very subtle mind will follow. That's why it is said that the last thought at the moment of our death, it's so important, because it gives the direction to the subtle mind, and the subtle mind gives the direction to the very subtle mind. That's why it is said that if we meditate on the lack of inherent existence, we generate the awareness of wisdom. And through that awareness, we actually do the dissolution of the elements. That's the path that our subtle mind will go through, and that's the path that our very subtle mind will go through. So first we meditate on emptiness, then we follow the whole process of dissolution. We first do this in meditation, so that we reach at a very subtle level of consciousness of the clear light, and within that state, we actually meditate on the lack of inherent existence of all phenomena, including myself. Okay? So, this is what we call transforming death into the Dharmakaya. So first we learn how to do this in meditation. Once we get familiarized with that in meditation, we should do that in the process of sleep. Because when we fall asleep, it happens exactly the same dissolution that happens in the moment of death. You know, the very simple way of seeing it is that the dissolution of our senses goes in the same way as when we die. First we lose the eyesight, earth dissolves, then we lose the ear, sight, water dissolves, then we lose the smell, fire dissolves, then we lose the taste and the touch, wind dissolves, and then we actually fall asleep. Okay? Then still there is a more subtle part of the process of death still to come, which is the subtle part of sleep also that's still to come. But anyhow, what happens is that after that there is the other part of transformation, which is called transforming the bardo into the Sambhogakaya, which is what I like just briefly to explain now. Okay? So, what happens is that once we have died, it's natural process that our subtle body would remanifest once again in a more gross level. Okay? This is an event, there is no other choice. other than remanifesting ourselves in a more gross level. It's possible for some great meditators to stay in the state of clear light for maybe 10 days, 15 days, 1 hour, 2 hours, 10 hours, 1 month. It depends on the meditator. Normally the external sign for that is that in the area of the heart, it remains warm, even after the person has physically, technically died. So the actual death has not ended yet because clear light has not ended, but still, the rest of the body, no more heartbeat and so on, just it remains a little bit warm in the heart. This can last for even a month or more. So this depends on realizations of great yogis. But anyhow, sooner or later, for most of us very soon, for some of us maybe later, the clear light ends and we go back to the bardo. Okay? We are reborn in the bardo. To understand better what happens, for me the best way is to observe our own process of dreaming. Because it's very, very, very similar. In the same way that the process of death, it's very similar to the process of falling asleep. When we fall asleep, at a certain point we wake up in a dream. Okay? When we wake up in a dream, is it something gradual or is something instantaneous? It's instantaneous. It's like, in an instant I am in the middle of somewhere, doing strange things, whatever. Okay? And I have a big body or I have a small body that I can go into the holes of an ant or whatever, okay? It's like what happens is that in dream we can do anything. But the point is that the dream state, it's something that generates in an instant. So does also the body of the bardo. The bardo state is also generated in an instant. The dream is a direct manifestation of our mind. So is the bardo. In the state of the dream also, for example, we have the 5 senses, right? In the dream we can see, we can touch, we can listen, we can smell, we can taste. But still, physically, can we do these things or not? No. But can we have these experiences in the dream? Yes. So this is showing to us that with a subtle body like we have in dream, which is called the yilu in Tibetan, which is the mind body, we have all the 5 senses. So in the same way, in the bardo, there is not a gross body, but still we can see, we can touch, we can listen, we can smell, we can taste. Okay, the 5 senses are there. Very similar to what happens in the process of the bardo. So, very short, very briefly, what do we do in this transformation, in this process of transformation? By being aware of the process of death, it's possible by that way that we wake up, or we are reborn in this case, in the bardo, also with awareness. By having awareness in the bardo, the least thing that I can do is to direct myself with clarity. It's in the same way when we are dreaming. We can have 2 types of dream. We can have a dream where we don't know that we are dreaming, and we can dream by knowing that we are dreaming. What's the main difference? When I dream without knowing that I am dreaming, it's a total illusion in the sense it's a reality that I experience. I am there, and I am trapped in that reality until the dream doesn't end. It can be a good dream or it can be a bad dream, but that becomes my whole reality. The same thing happens in the bardo. Instead, if I dream and I am aware that it is a dream, I still live that reality, I still see it and so on, but I can transform it in many different ways. I can start flying. I can transform the monster into little mice. I can transform it into a butterfly. I can do anything I may want, okay? So the point is that to learn to transform our dream in order to learn to transform the bardo. And we start first by doing that in meditation. So from the very subtle level of clear light, we generate ourselves with consciousness in a subtle body in a pure form, which is actually simulating the process of the bardo. What we say in meditation is that I need to generate myself in a more gross form, because only into the Dharmakaya there is no way how I can be of benefit for all sentient beings, because they are not able to perceive myself. So I must manifest myself in a more gross form. And so I generate myself from the very subtle level to a more subtle level, which is the subtle body without a gross form. Okay? And there, in that state, I make offerings to all Buddhas. I help all sentient beings. This is in the subtle body state. Okay? But just to conclude, we are going to go back to this subject again, in more details. But just to conclude, the important thing for us to understand is that if we are able to have awareness of the subtle body in meditation, meditation is just a simulation, okay? Then we can, once we are able to train in meditation to transform the bardo, death into the Dharmakaya, then by consequence we transform the bardo into the Sambhogakaya, which is the enjoyment body of a Buddha, the subtle the subtle body of a Buddha, which means the body that doesn't have a physical form. Then what happens? If we're able to do this transformation in meditation, then we can apply transforming sleep into the Dharmakaya and transforming dreaming into the Sambhogakaya. And if we are able to do that, then there is almost no doubt that we will be able to do that at our actual death and actual bardo. Some of us may say, oh, but all of this looks so difficult, it is impossible. Sure, if we never start, it's impossible to do it. In the sense that if we start training with constancy, slowly, it's something possible. I believe all of us at a certain point of our life have had a dream in which we were aware of dreaming. In the same way, it's possible to do that with consciousness. And if we are able to do that with consciousness, then it's possible to do that also in the moment of our bardo. Okay? Which is, if we do that in the bardo, then we can go to the Pure Lands, we can go around, we can do anything we want, basically. That is possible to do with such a subtle body. So, when we do the first transformation, we transform death into the Dharmakaya, which means we recognize ourselves within a very subtle body and mind. Then we transform bardo into the Sambhogakaya, which means we recognize ourselves within a subtle body and mind. And then from that later, we will have the transformation of rebirth into the Nirmanakaya, which we take the actual process of rebirth and we do that with awareness for the benefit of all sentient beings, which is very similar to the process of waking up. That's why actually every time we go to sleep, we dream and we wake up, it's an opportunity to train for us to die, to go to the bardo and to be reborn. Okay? So, this is in very few words, these other two transformations. Okay? Anyhow, we will see them again in details with more time. Okay? So just very shortly, when we talk about the protectors, what happens is that basically protectors are subtle forms of life without a gross body as ours. They are all forms of subtle forms of life. They are pure beings, impure beings, wise, ignorant, and so on. Protectors normally are very wise and highly realized beings, like our protector. And what happens is that they have a commitment to help those who want sincerely to practice the Dharma. So basically, the work of a protector is to create positive, subtle conditions to help us to practice the Dharma. So, in order for us to develop love and compassion and wisdom and so on. So what's the prayer that we make to a protector? Oh, please help me to create the positive conditions so that I may develop renunciation, bodhicitta, correct view of reality, so that I may eliminate my anger, jealousy, pride, miserliness, attachment, and so on. What is an oracle? It's a medium. It's a person. In this case, the oracle is the oracle of our protector. There are only 4 oracles, if I'm not 4 or 3 oracles in the world now. They need to go through a whole process of preparation, of retreat, of being chosen, and so on. It's quite complex, the whole thing. And in the same time, they are like a bridge between the subtle world and this gross world in which we are trapped somehow. So they make this bridge for us. And what we request normally, please bless me, please help me to give me the conditions for me to develop love, compassion, wisdom, renunciation, bodhicitta, and so on. Okay? So this is the main. Then secondary level, if we need, we ask blessings, I have this problem, that problem, health, and so on, But these are just secondary things. Okay? So we stop here now, because we need to make some little preparations for the oracle and everything else. Okay? Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkar tinle chochur gepa dang losan tempe drome sasum gi drove munse tatu ne gyurchi nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delekshin ninsen taktu delekpe Kuncho sumgi jingi lo, kuncho sumgi ngodrup tsol, kuncho sumgi trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.